I welcome all the students to the video lecture on the topic Nature of Application of Information Technology in Banking Sector. In our earlier lecture, we studied, we discussed about the brief outline of our syllabus for the paper Recent Trends in Banking and Technology. Now in this particular lecture, we are starting with our syllabus, the very first unit of our syllabus entitled Introduction to Technology in Banking Sector. In this particular lecture, we are going to study how the information technology is applied in the banking sector in order to provide variety of services to the customers. How the information technology is introduced in the banking sector, what are the ways through which we can apply the information technology in order to provide the banking services to the general public. That is what the topic of our discussion in our first unit. And the first content of our first unit is about nature and scope of application of information technology in banking sector. In this particular lecture, I will elaborate the nature of application of information technology in banking sector. Actually, the implementation of information technology in banking sector initiated in India in 1980s. This process is also known as the process of bank computerization. This process of bank computerization, it is, we can discuss in two different angles. In a narrow sense, if we say the process of bank computerization, it means the process of data entry into the computer system. Data entry into the computer system means to enter the data, to feed the data of the bank into the computer system, to convert the data from hard copy to soft copy. What are the deposits of the bank? What are the lendings of the bank? Who are the customers of the bank? What amount they do deposit in the bank? What amount they do withdraw from the bank? This is, in a narrow sense, the process of bank computerization. The bank mere or just enter the available data into computer system. This is the process of bank computerization in a narrow sense. We can understand the bank computerization in a narrow sense in this way. Data entry, and second point is simple calculations. To calculate the rate of interest, to calculate the simple transactions with the help of computer. This is also considered as the bank computerization process in a narrow sense. Means application of information technology in the banking sector in a narrow sense means data entry and simple calculations which are essential for banking services. The second point here, while discussing about the nature of application of information technology in banking sector, is about to understand the process of bank computerization or to understand the application of information technology in banking sector in a broad sense is about how we apply the information and communication technology to the banking services. How we apply the information and communication to the banking services means when we give or we provide internet connectivity to the computer system, then we can send that particular stored data in the computer to other banks. We can send that particular information to the head office. we can transfer that particular data to other banks. We can transfer that particular data to central bank with the help of information and communication technology. Not only data entry and simple calculation is expected in a broad sense. Apart from data entry and simple calculations, when we give internet connectivity, we provide internet connectivity to the banking system. What we can do? We can provide variety of services to the bank customers. Nowadays we can see we can avail the banking services from anywhere on our fingertips. We can avail the banking services every time 24 into 7. We can avail these banking services very easily from our convenient places. Why it is happening? It is happening because of the connectivity of the banks with each other. One bank branch is connected with all other bank branches. All the head offices of the banks, different banks, are interconnected. This interconnected process of interconnection happened due to the utilization of internet connectivity, or due to the internet connectivity we can avail all these facilities. So this is what the process of bank computerization, or the application of information technology in the banking sector in a broad sense. So these are the two important points which we have to be noted down here: the computerization process of bank in a narrow sense, and computerization of a bank in a broad sense. After understanding this process of bank computerization, or after understanding the application of information technology in the banking sector, now we will move towards some more points for the discussion in order to understand this nature of application of information technology. I already mentioned at the beginning of the lecture, the application of information technology in banking sector started in India in 1980s. For initiating this process of information technology in banking sector, Reserve Bank of India played an important role. The Reserve Bank of India initiated this process by appointing a C. Rangarajan committee in the year 1983. C. Rangarajan committee, they studied the need of information technology in banking and the way or the process of application of information technology in the banking, and they have given, or they have published the report. They prepared the report for the committee and they submitted the report to the government, to the Reserve Bank of India in 1984. And in the report, C. Rangarajan committee strongly recommended for initiating the computerization of the banking system of India. They strongly recommended for the application of information technology for the banking sector in India. And since 1984, the Reserve Bank of India initiated the process of bank computerization. Even though we started this process in 1980s, but in a true sense after 1990s we started application of information technology in the banking sector in a true sense. Way back in that time period, we used to observe the queues in the banks for getting or for availing the banking services. The people used to stop in a queue for a couple of hours. But nowadays we can see the banking services are available to the customers, to the general public on a fingertips. We can use our mobile phones for availing the banking services. The picture drastically changed nowadays because of this application of information technology. No more we are not, uh, no more we stand in a queues for number of hours in a banks for getting the services, for depositing money, for withdrawing money. We don't use to visit to the banks for this particular purpose. We are performing these banking transactions from our computers and from our mobile phones. This drastic change took place in Indian banking scenario due to the application of information technology. These are some of the points which I am discussing. I am explaining through these points the nature of application of information technology. Furthermore, the increasing competition in banking sector. Increasing competition in banking sector means in 1990s, we opened up our economy. We adopted the model of globalization, liberalization and privatization. And due to this liberal economic policy, the foreign banks initiated and started coming into our country. They established their bank branches in our country. So as a result of that, in order to compete with the foreign banks, the need was felt to upgrade the Indian banking sector in order to compete with the foreign banks. Apart from that, we also permitted to establish the private sector banks in our country. So in order to compete with the private sector banks, in order to compete with the foreign banks, the need was felt to improve the services of the public sector banks in our country, and therefore the need was felt to use or to apply the information technology in the banking sector in order to provide variety of services to the bank customers. As I mentioned, in the era of globalization initiated in the banking sector in 1990s, due to the globalization, due to the initiation of the process of globalization in our country, most of the foreign banks, they came over here, they established their branches in our country. In case of profitability, in case of competitiveness, these foreign banks are superior to the Indian banks. So in order to cope up with this situation, we initiated the process of the computerization or application of information technology. The application of information technology in banking sector is also needed in order to meet the increasing demands of the customers. Now in the current scenario, apart from traditional services of the banks, the bank do provide variety of services to the customers. With the increasing demands of the customer, the banks are providing variety of services to them. Not customer just deposits the money and withdraws the money from bank. Apart from deposit and withdraw, the customer gets variety of services like internet banking, mobile banking, the services at automated teller machine, that is ATM points. We can swap our cards, we can make the payments through our mobile gadgets. Now we are using various applications in our mobile phone. We are transferring the funds to other beneficiaries through our mobile gadgets. So customer demands are increasing and banks are providing these all services to the customer. It is happening just because of the application of information technology in banking sector. It become possible just because of the application of IT in banking sector. The technological revolution took place in Indian economy, not only in the banking sector. In 1990s, we initiated the process of computerization. A broad revolution in the area of technology took place in Indian economy, and banking sector is also beneficiary of this technological revolution in the Indian economy. These are the few points which also explains the nature of application of information technology. Apart from that, in the next slide, we can see some of the types of application of information technology. First type of the application of information technology is about back office application. In the initial lecture, at the beginning of the lecture, while explaining the bank computerization process in a narrow sense, I mentioned the data entry and calculating operations. This is the first process of the application of information technology in the banking sector. This is the first step of application of information technology in banking sector. What happened in this first step of computerization? In the first step of computerization, the banks started feeding the data, available data into the computer system. And the bank used the computers, the bank used the information technology for calculating operations, for calculating their profit, for calculating their loss, for calculating net non-performing assets. For calculating purpose, they used this computers and information technology. This process is known as back office application. In the second step of application of information technology, it is total branch automation. Total branch automation means the branch of a bank, they provided the automation services. They are full-fledged automation services. This automation service is limited up to the branch level. Means one computer of a particular branch is connected with the second computer, third computer, whatever the system or PCs are available in the bank branch itself, they all are interconnected with each other. It is known as total branch automation. The data which is saved in one system, we can see, we can transfer that data, we can avail that data in another PC or other computer or other system. Hence, at branch level, the automation process initiated in the second stage of application of information technology. This process is known as total branch automation. And most revolutionary application of IT is core banking solutions. Core banking solutions means we can in this process we can understand the process of application of information technology in a broad sense. In the process of core banking solutions, we connected all the bank branches at the country with each other at the country level. All the bank branches, all the head offices, all the branches are interconnected with each other. Nowadays, we can avail these services. We are enjoying this core banking solution. We can avail the banking services anywhere, anytime, 24/7, non-stop services. We can avail these banking services because of these core banking solutions. The database is centralized system, means you can withdraw your money from any of the bank ATM. You can use your plastic cards like ATM, credit card, debit cards in any of point of sales terminal devices. You can use in any of the ATM machine. It is happening because the centralized system of data and multiple delivery channels. In order to avail the banking services, to get the banking services, we need not approach to the bank branch. Apart from approaching to the bank branch, we can avail the banking services to multiple channels, through internet, through computer, through your mobile, through your plastic cards like debit cards and credit cards. We can avail these banking services through multiple channels. Mobile wallets are available, mobile applications are available. So through these various channels, we can use the banking services. So this is what happened. We are availing the services due to the core banking solution. So these are some important points which I mentioned, which I explained, which I discussed in this particular lecture, which explains the nature of application of information technology in banking sector. Now in this lecture I stop here. In the next lecture I will explain the scope of application of information technology in banking sector. Thank you.